Okay, looks like we're live now. I just finished my cup of coffee. I might need another one later, but I have my water. Okay, 오늘의 수업 시작하겠습니다. Thank you for tuning in to the live class of this week at Talk to Me in Korean. Here's my water, hot water. 어서 오세요. We might have a special guest appearing later on during the class. I'm hesitant to call this a class today because I've prepared something a little different from usual. Let me adjust my screen a little bit so that I don't have any distractions. Okay, so 안녕하세요. Thank you to everyone who was waiting in the chat and also to those of you who came over to YouTube after seeing me on Instagram. Learn to speak Korean fluently. Everybody wants to be fluent in the new language that they start learning, right? But the reality can be a little bit different for a long time. I mean, you will eventually become conversational, fluent, and comfortable if you put in the hours, put in the time. But sometimes, since it takes a long time, 오래 걸려요. 오래 걸려요. By the way, I will have lots of important messages in this live class, in this stream, and I want to incorporate as much Korean language as possible for those of you who are already aware of all the messages that I am mentioning here. But anyway, yeah, 시간이 오래 걸려요. But if you do put in the time and if you know the direction, you will do it, and then eventually you will become fluent. But it helps to know where to go. It helps to see the roadmap ahead of you clearly before starting, and it'll reduce the amount of time that you will eventually have to spend, right? Like the comment I see from femnak852, I just said 802. Do you know the confusion between 5, O, and 0? For those of you who are living in Korea, like, you know, and you give phone numbers, like 405, something like that, and then you write 45. Anyway, you've been learning Korean for 5 years and you're still not fluent. It's okay. You are definitely better than when you started 5 years ago, and now maybe you can decide to put in more hours and you will speed up the process, the progress. So we will talk about mainly these 4 things. What does it mean to be fluent? And like I mentioned in one Instagram video, one video before, the fact that confidence has to come before fluency. And where does confidence come from? Like, how can you become confident? If by being more confident, you will be able to speak to people more regularly, then where do you get that confidence? Where do you buy that confidence? Where do you get one of those? 자신감. By the way, I will also introduce the names for these, I guess, Korean names for these terms in today's chat as well. And how do you learn effectively? 효과적으로 배우는 방법. How do you learn? And how long will it take for you to become fluent in Korean eventually? Okay. Oh, I actually realized that I'm not showing you the screen, so it's okay for now. But these were the 4 lines that I just wanted to show you. What does it mean to be fluent? And this is what we want to talk about. These 4 things. Okay. Aha. Thank you. Hi, Eleanor. Eleanor is studying is your ID on YouTube. Thank you for the question because I really liked it. The question was, how do you consistently work on the same project for more than 10 years? And I appreciate that. Maybe I'll have an opportunity to talk about it. But yeah, these are the topics of today's live class. This is the main topic. So I hope you can kind of participate today and take away some core ideas as to what you need to do this year or over the next couple of years to be finally fluent or feel fluent in Korean. And then the specific subtopics are these. And before we go on to this one, let's talk about one concept that I think is really important. So here, this is the concept or the definition of fluent. So what does it mean? But before that, I think this is more important. I think this is one of the most important things that we need to talk about. Being fluent and declaring fluency. So I think there's a big difference between, especially in attitude, 태도, attitude. Difference. I think there's a big tie between actually being fluent in a language and saying that you are fluent. I am fluent in Korean. I am fluent in Italian. I'm fluent in Chinese. I'm fluent in Japanese. I think this one, maybe coming from the Korean cultural perspective too, but I think this one has to be way higher than being fluent. Do you know what I mean? Or do you agree? Would you agree? So you can be quite fluent, quite comfortable, and everybody around you can say, you're fluent. You can go to Korea right now and be fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry. You can just go now, buy your flight tickets, and then don't worry about it. And then you yourself saying, hey, I am fluent in this language, in Korean. There's a big difference, and I think you can be fluent as an upper beginner or even a lower intermediate or intermediate learner. And then in order to declare fluency, I think I can say I'm fluent in English and Korean. All the other languages that I do speak, I never say, hey, I'm fluent in Japanese. I say that, oh yeah, I speak Japanese, but I normally don't say, hey, I'm fluent. I speak fluent Japanese or anything like that. So there's a difference. So what I'm saying is it's okay even if you don't feel like you can tell people that you're fluent in Korean. You can still be fluent. There's a huge difference. This is a really big concept that you need to understand before you go forward. 아시겠죠? Do you understand? So that's that. I wanted to explain that, and I wanted you to remember that. Again, in summary, just because you don't have the confidence to tell people that you're fluent, it's fine. You can be still fluent. Yeah, confidence, comfortability, true, but it's other people's perception. I'll give you some examples later. And then let's quickly look at the definition of fluent. So fluent comes from, the word origin from Latin of flow, of course, and then 유창, if you look at the Korean word and the Chinese characters behind it, 유 here means to flow, and 창, this one is like from the same 창 as in 화창하다, 날씨가 화창해요. It's sunny, clear day, sunny day. So if you look at the Chinese character here, like I don't know if you can see clearly, but let me see if I can actually make it bigger a little bit. Let's make it 40. Okay, so this second portion on the right hand side is sunlight, and the left side is like repeatedness. So there's a lot of sunlight. There's nothing blocking your view, right? It's a clear day. So this is the definition in the Korean dictionary. 말을 하거나, speaking, 글을 읽는 것이, 글 is text, written text, 읽는 것이, reading, 물 흐르듯이, like water flowing, 거침, this doesn't mean roughness, it means blocking. There's no blocking. Nothing's blocked. Your speaking or writing is just fluent, fluid. Okay? 좋아요. So I wanted to give you the definition and then the difference between being reasonably fluent and being able to speak and then being able to tell people that you're fluent. It also comes down to attitude and modesty too. So that's fluency. Confidence, certainty, and the ability to communicate naturally in real-world situations. And fluency doesn't mean perfection. It's okay. So think of this example. 저는 오늘 I'm going to give you this is a good example. Since I see this really beautifully written comment, I'm going to use this with your permission, although I didn't ask for it. So this is the live comment that we just received, right? 여러분, 우리 모두가 포기하지 않고 계속해서 노력하면 한국어를 유창하게 하게 될 거라고 생각합니다. 파이팅. This is the comment, right? And then 할리아님, 언젠가는 원어민처럼 유창하게 말할 수 있길 바래요. Great. Both great sentences. So this is fluent. This is fluent when you can say it like this, at least at this speed. So highest speed, the fastest speed. 여러분, 우리 모두가 포기하지 않고 계속해서 노력하면 한국어를 유창하게 하게 될 거라고 생각합니다. 파이팅! That's the fastest, maybe native speaker level. This one, 언젠가는 원어민처럼 유창하게 말할 수 있길 바래요. But 여러분, this speed also works. 여러분, 우리 모두가 포기하지 않고 계속해서 노력하면. This is fluent too. So, and then the reason that I copied and typed the whole message is you can also speak like this. 여러분, 여러분, 포기하지 마세요. 계속 노력하세요. 그러면 한국어 유창하게 할 수 있어요. 저는 그렇게 생각해요. 파이팅. As you saw in the thumbnail for this class, what's a realistic goal? This is your first realistic goal. You want to talk like this first. You don't want to aim for this. You don't. This will happen eventually as a byproduct. You can never, try to talk like this and you will always fail. It's a guaranteed failure. Go for this. 여러분, 포기하지 마세요. 계속 노력하세요. And if this is a little more challenging, maybe than you thought, you can even break it down into smaller parts if you want. Like maybe delete some words. Like 포기, if you know the noun, 포기, 안 돼요. Like that. 노력하세요. 계속. Maybe delete all the conjunctions. 한국어 유창하게 delete all the adverbs. 할 수 있어요. 저는 생각해요. 그렇게, even though 그렇게 is needed here to make the sentence complete, you can delete it. It's fine. As a learner, this is also a slightly lowered but still realistic sounding paragraph that you can say. Okay? So it's about confidence, certainty, and the ability to communicate naturally in real-world situations. This will happen eventually, but this is what you want to begin with. All right? This one as well. This was from 탈리아님. 언젠가 할 수 있어요. 원어민처럼 언젠가 말할 수 있어요. One day I can speak. And then 원어민처럼. At first, if you don't know the word 원어민, native speaker처럼. If you don't remember 처럼, native speaker 같이, like that, it's okay to mix sometimes a word that you don't know. I will talk about this fact a little later on. Okay, so that was the first portion. What does fluency mean? And then now, let's move on to where does confidence come from? So, we already talked about this. If you are not confident or confident enough to speak or to write, you can't become fluent because you will never have enough opportunities to speak. You will never have or get enough practice opportunities, right? And then confidence comes, and then you talk and you have certainty and clarity in your skills. You know that you can't use these particles fluently. For example, you know the 은는이가 particles, topic markers, and subject markers. This one, let me tell you to kind of reassure you, super advanced speakers, people who are on TV in Korea as fluent Korean speakers from other countries, they make these mistakes all the time. So, but they don't. They know that their particle usage is not perfect, but they have clarity that they will be understood. Okay. And then moving on to the next topic, where does confidence come from? Now you understood that, okay, I need to have confidence. You want to have confidence in your Korean skills, but you don't have it. Where do you get it? Which website do you go to buy Korean speaking confidence? Let's talk about that. But before I go ahead, is the pace okay? 어때요? 괜찮아요? Tell me. All right. The pace is okay. And for those of you who are just joining for the first time and who are new to the channel, this is Talk to Me in Korean. I am Hyunwoo. That's my name. Hyunwoo. And many people have heard me talk about it. I mean, I really like my name, Hyunwoo. This was not a very common name when I was born in the 80s. And my father chose this name, breaking the traditional, I guess, name format that our family had to kind of keep. So I'm really happy about it, Hyunwoo. And I didn't have so many people that had the same name with me. And my last name is also, my family name is also quite rare, Sun, which is conveniently translated to son. So, anyway, that's my name. We've been teaching Korean since 2009 at talktomekorean.com. As you can see below me, all the products that we offer on our website. Please click open the description and see all our effective tools and services. You will find everything. And here, if you don't remember my name, though, I mean, many of you already know, but I always tell people that I meet for the first time who are not familiar with the Korean language, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not going to remember your name or pronounce your name correctly." I say, "Do you know Keanu Reeves?" That name, Keanu, it's a unique name. Replace K with H, and you will remember my name forever, because that does sound like my name, Hyunwoo. Anyway, let's talk about where confidence come from. Is 1 hour a day enough to learn Korean? I'll talk about that. What my name means? Wow. My name means I don't know if I want to talk about it, but it means wise king. Forget it. All right. So where does confidence come from? It comes from knowing these. Confidence comes from knowing these. I will understand. I will be understood. I can ask. I know what I need to do. This is a little bit simplified, so let me explain. But in case you forget, please take a screenshot or come back to this portion of this class, and then you will have good sentences to kind of work with. Wise king of 한국어. Yeah, so that's why I didn't want to talk about it, right? A lot of people ask me, "Oh, what's the 한자 behind your name?" Anyway, I will understand and I will be understood. These two are related to pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar. I can ask and I know what to do is related to attitude and approach. And I'm going to explain these one by one. Okay? Confidence comes from knowing these things, having the security in your mind, knowing these. Let's look at this. What does I will understand mean? It means comprehension in real interactions. I wrote these in Korean just as a challenge. Let me explain. I will understand means, as the first pillar of confidence, 내가 예상하는 발음, pronunciation that I'm expecting to hear is the same as 상대방의 실제 발음, the actual pronunciation of the other person. Let me repeat. 발음, pronunciation, 예상, anticipation, 예상하는, that I anticipate, 내가. The pronunciation I am kind of expecting has to be the same with, or same as, the actual pronunciation that I'm going to hear. Okay? And then, number 2, 상대방이 쓰는 단어, the words that the other person is using. In Korean, we say N% all the time, so I wrote it like that. A certain percentage or more of the vocabulary that the other person, can I understand it? Okay? Can I understand a certain number or more of what the other person is saying? Or do I just purely lack too much vocabulary? It doesn't make sense to have any confidence. I mean, sometimes as you're a beginner learner, if it's day 1, day 2 of your Korean learning, it makes no sense to be confident in your skills. You can be confident in your ability to learn. It's fine. I'm always confident in my ability to learn any language, but it doesn't mean I am confident in that language, right? So you have to have the vocabulary, at least more than 1,000 or more, or 500. 상대방이 쓰는 문장 구조, the sentence structure that the other person is using. So you can see 상대방, 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 the other person, the counterpart. 문장 구조, sentence structure. Have you heard of it? So I've prepared 2 examples. The first one is, I guess, an example of these 2. Your pronunciation, let me actually, for your reference, let me type the translation, pronunciation, or just the keyword. I don't have to translate the whole thing for you, right? Let me write that, and it just copied the font size. Vocabulary, and then sentence structure. All right. This is a good example. So you are reading a text and you are learning the word for LCC, low cost carrier. So low cost airline. Ryanair, what else? Jinair in Korea, I think. So anyway, so I'm avoiding saying this because I want you to guess. Low cost airline in Korean, and you keep reading it. Okay, you read 저, if you know Hangul, 가, 항, 공. Okay, and then you think you know the word, you memorized it, you've used flashcards, you've used, Quizlet, anything you're using, and then that's the 내가 예상하는 발음. That's the pronunciation that you are expecting to hear, and the other person's pronunciation is, so this is important, please pay attention. You are expecting to hear 저가 항공 versus you actually hear 저가 항공, okay? 저가 항공. And this is the correct pronunciation. 저가항공. So when this not being the same as the actual pronunciation that the other person is using happens, when this happens too often, you will have no confidence that you will understand. Is it clear? So the actual pronunciation is 저가항공. 저가. And then the opposite of 저, low, is 고, 고가, 고가. So yeah, your pronunciation has to be good. Of course, the first stage of your pronunciation being good will be knowing the correct pronunciation, tongue position, mouth shape of each vowel syllable. Like you don't want to say 저가항공, you want to say 저, things like that. But after that, even, you will have to understand that, okay, there are some pronunciation quirks and pronunciation irregularities, and you expose yourself to enough of those, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can get it. Or even at least have your antenna open for irregularities. Okay, and then when somebody says something, I will understand this confidence comes from the fact that you know that sentence structure. So you, for example, you know 비행기표, airplane tickets. 비행기 is an airplane, 표 is a ticket, 사다 is to buy. But then you're like, 사뒀어요? Like, what does that 뒀어요 mean? It depends on your attitude and approach. For example, if you're like, okay, 비행기표 사뒀어요, I have no idea what that 뒀어요 is doing there. But 비행기표, I know airplane ticket. 사다, I know buy. And 뒀어요, this is clearly, there's no doubt that it's in the past tense. Then it must only ever mean, did you buy airplane tickets? You can guess, and you are right. It just means, have you bought your airplane tickets already? And you understood, your anticipation was correct, your forecast was correct, then you are confident. This keeps happening. There's no reason that you won't be confident in the Korean language. And for your reference, this 두다 is to have done something, like to have already finished something, and it's in that state, 사두다. So that's that. Okay? And then the second pillar is I will be understood. This is basically clear expression and accurate pronunciation, even though you might make mistakes here and there. So for example, 어울려요. It works, it looks great on you, like a piece of clothing, hat, glasses, 어울려요. Many people say 어울려요 because 어 and 우, distinguishing these two like really quickly can be a lot of work. So many people say 올려요, like you put up what? 어울려요. And then if you have enough experiences where you say 잘 어울려요 and the other person understood you, once you have enough of that happening, you are confident. And then you want to talk about something salty. A stew is too salty. You say 너무 짜요. You wanted to say that, but the other person understands you or misunderstands you as 차요. Please repeat after me in your own room, if you can, these two side by side. 짜요, 차요, 짜요, 차요. So it's salty, 짜요, that's what you mean. But then if it sounds like 차요, it's cold, they will take it from you and microwave it and give it back. Doesn't solve the problem. So 짜요, 차요, you have accurate pronunciation, you have practiced enough, and then you will have confidence. And this one is a good example of this portion, despite mistakes. Clear expression. Confidence or fluency doesn't mean you are completely accurate every single time. You can make mistakes and it's okay. So, for example, anything is fine is what you want to say. Anything is fine. And I've also seen anything is fine. This mistake all the time. 아무거나 다 괜찮아요. 아무거나 다 괜찮아요. So this is a mistake that a friend of mine actually made right in front of me about 2 weeks ago during a social event. So we were talking in Korean. We were like changing, code switching between many languages, and then we were in Korean speaking mode, and his Korean is perfect, fluent, and then he said 아무것도 다 괜찮아요, which is technically speaking incorrect, but I understood him. It's fine. Nobody cares. It's very, very clear. And there was a mistake. It's okay. You are still fluent. You are confident. 아무거나 is anything in a positive statement, open to any choices. 아무것도 is negative in this case. So it's fine. So that's that. And then the third pillar of confidence is if there's something that you don't know, you can ask. So for example, oh, I see. While talking in Korean, 그 단어는 모르겠어요. I don't know that word. What does that mean? Can you say that in English? 영어로 뭐예요? 영어로 말해주세요. 그건 무슨 뜻이에요? While talking in Korean, whether you are talking in advanced Korean or simple Korean. 처음으로 들었어요. That works too. 처음 들었어요. Just say 처음 들었어요. 그건 무슨 뜻이에요? 무슨 말인지 모르겠어요. Earlier I mentioned 저가항공, right? 저가항공. And your understanding, your forecast of the pronunciation was 저가항공. If that's the case, you're like, 무슨 말인지 모르겠어요. 이거 한국어로 뭐라고 하죠? So you know you can ask, then you have confidence. You will have more and more confidence if you know how to ask, and the fact that you can ask, it's fine to ask. And if you're the type of person who tends to have more confidence than others from the get-go when learning a new language, you tend to look for these sentences in any language you learn. Like, I don't know how to say that. That's one of the first sentences you will learn in any language. And then, I know what I need to do. So you know what you lack, what areas are your weak areas, and how to improve. Because confidence doesn't mean complacency. It doesn't mean that you are completely satisfied with your level. You know that you need to work on it more, but you know what to do. Okay, I'm going to go back to my Talk to Me in Korean books, Talk to Me in Korean courses, or I just need to read more, and I'm going to just, read every day, and then this problem of me not knowing the vocabulary will be automatically solved. And as you know, let me just plug our services. We have services for that, right? So we have these apps and Talk to Me in Korean stories. You can read stories and learn vocabulary very, very naturally, like that. So once you just continue reading like this, and everything will be learned naturally like that. 다니다, to go and come back and attend. So quiz, notes, we didn't take the quiz. You can check the vocabulary and translation and practice writing like that. Or you can go to our speaking app, 세요, and practice speaking, right? 세요, from 안녕하세요, 어서 오세요. You can speak into your phone and then get evaluation. So you have a clear understanding of what you need to do, and you know where to go, like our books or whatever material you're using, any 학원 you're attending or apps that you're using. Let me summarize it. Confidence comes from knowing these things. You will understand what others say because you have a correct understanding of the pronunciation, and you will be understood because your pronunciation, you've worked on your pronunciation, and it's okay, and it's fine to make mistakes, and I can ask, if there's something that I don't understand, and I know my current level is here, but I know what to do to go up. That's where confidence comes from. And once you have these 4 pillars kind of filled, you will have confidence and you will speak, you will write, and then you will eventually become fluent. And then how do you speed up that process? Let's talk about that, because you don't want to spend, or say, 50 years to become fluent. That's not very exciting. It's meaningful, but not as exciting as, say, 1 year, 2 years, right? So let's do that. And whenever I talk about how to study, I think I mention stress, because studying is essentially the same as working out, lifting weights or learning how to handstand, how to do a backflip, how to do anything physically. At first, there's a lot of stress on your muscles. Brain, you can think of brain as a type of muscle. And then eventually there's no stress. I remember learning how to do a handstand when I was 17, I think. It was the scariest thing ever. Also, when I was learning how to do a backflip for the first time, when I was 20, it was the scariest thing in the world. But you build, strength more and more, and you got it. You can just wake up from sleep and do it, right? So going from stress to no stress, this is closely related to how to study. So this is what you want to do. You want to acknowledge the fact that at first there will be stress. You open up your book, your Talk to Me Korean book. I'm currently learning Italian, so as you probably saw, if you saw, in my secret, not so secret, little small Instagram account where I practice Italian, I mispurchased this book. I thought I was buying Il Nome della Rosa, but I bought an analysis, like 장미의 이름, the name of the rose. But anyway, so I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's so complicated at first, but then eventually there's no stress, right? This is the process. Building certainty reduces stress. You can read everything here. I don't have to explain everything because you know this already. All right? Stress to no stress. And your goal is to eventually build a rhythm where you don't feel any stress in learning Korean because you enjoy it, you know what to do, it's already built into your daily routine, daily systems, and then you just do it. So how to study is actually here. So the power of a well-planned study routine. If you are expecting to hear about study with this book for 20 minutes a day and then learn vocabulary words using this method, or use this app for 15 minutes at what time, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there's no magic formula for that. It is just study as much as you can. That's the golden rule. But how do you study as much as you can? How do you not just end up scrolling on your phone? That's the real question. No one quick trick to become fluent. So consistency is going to be what you want. And of course, you don't want to be just consistent listening to your songs. You don't want to be just consistent speaking, because then you don't have any input and you will be just repeating the same simple sentences over and over again, like a parrot would. If you we recently went to a parrot cafe, a really cute place. And if you look at a mockingbird, without input, the mockingbird will never mock any human being, right? And you have to read, right? You have to do all of these things. But the key principle is basically time boxing, time blocking. You have to set a time where you will study. And the reason for studying that day should be not, oh, I have motivation to study, I have these reasons to study just today, but it has to be, oh, I studied because it's time to study. Kind of like I went to work today because it was time to go to work. I had dinner today because it was time to have dinner, or also because you were hungry. But you have to say, oh, it's just time to study. I'm going to open my books and do it. But when you do this, there's another element. If you open your books, if you open your courses, if you open the Talk to Me Korean YouTube channel, listen to a podcast, because it's time to study, let's say you have 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, or 5 hours a week. Okay? You're going to fill those hours, minutes, that fill the time with learning activities, right? But if that activity is not fun, 재미가 없으면, you will quit or you will not learn as much. So the second portion of the equation is, okay, it's time to study. I have decided to study for 1 hour a day during these hours. What do I do during those hours? And you have to constantly change. Okay, I'm going to try 10 minutes of Seyo, our speaking app, and then 30 minutes of this Korean drama with Korean subtitles alone or with no subtitles. You keep trying new things. So the second pillar is it's time to study. So you study, but you have to continue experimenting. Okay, so what can I do to fill up that 1 hour with pure studying? If something is too difficult for you, you will stop. If something is too easy for you, you will stop. 8 hours of physical 100, no subtitles. That will become a fitness kind of challenge, I guess. You will feel motivated to exercise. Physical 100 is one of my favorite shows, and one of my friends actually was on that show. If you know Justin from South Africa, he also learned a lot of Korean through Talk to Me in Korean. So maybe I can have him as on an interview or something. But yeah, that's that. I just wanted to spend just a little bit of time on how to study, just mainly mentioning the fact that there's no magic formula for how. And this is the most important part, and this is the last portion of today's live class. And I want you to do something with this portion. So a lot of people ask, how long will it take to learn Korean? And whenever I ask them, okay, so how many minutes, how many hours a day are you investing? Many people either don't have a number that they can give me, or they have a very unrealistic goal, like, oh, I'm going to study for 5 hours a day or 5 minutes a day. Both 5 minutes a day, just doing word matching on your phone doesn't help you learn any language. And 5 hours a day can be too much unless you are Yeji from Talk to Me in Korean, or previously from Talk to Me in Korean. If you've seen on Instagram, our one of our teachers from before, Yeji, who decided to change her career, and she wanted to become this labor attorney. And then she studied for 15 hours a day for 18 months, and then she passed this exam in her first try. Unless you are her, you need to think of it as a whole program of, let's say 5 hours of Korean learning to fluency, or 1,000 hours. I think 5 hours is a minimum. So whenever you have a very big worry or question about how to learn Korean or how fast you can learn Korean, I want you to think of this plan. I want you to give me a program, a plan of how many hours a day you will spend in order to fill those 500 hours. So say there's 50 weeks, 52 weeks in a year. Let's make it easier for you. In a year. And let's say you want to, or 12 months in a year. You take a few weeks off and then maybe like 2 weeks off. Let's say 50 weeks of learning and then 10 hours of learning a week will be 500 hours. And then you want to take the Saturday and Sunday off or your busy weekdays, Monday and Friday off. So that'll be 5 days of learning. So that'll be 2 hours of learning a day. If you study for 2 hours or learn for 2 hours a day for a year while taking some days off, like 2 days off in a week and then 2 weeks in a year off, you don't have to study those days, and then you will have 500 hours. And that's actually a sufficient amount for you to go from knowing nothing to knowing at least an intermediate level of Korean. And if you have good pronunciation, good understanding of the Korean sentence structure, the main ones, you will be fluent and you will be able to express your ideas. You won't be able to talk about history, science in detail, but you can to a certain degree. And that's the first milestone that I want you to work toward, 500 hours. And today, if you have time, or tomorrow, if it's late for you, sit down and write out a plan how you will spend those 500 hours. Is it realistic to think 2 hours? So, and what does these 2 hours actually involve? Which language did Yeji-Sam learn? She, during those 18 months of hardcore studying, she didn't learn any language. I mean, she already speaks English and Korean, English, and Japanese, but she did study law. And 2 hours of learning a day, I think I'm doing roughly 1 hour, 1 hour of learning or Italian learning a day. And I don't sit down for learning Italian for 1 hour straight. It's mainly 30, 40 minutes of, okay, so I'm doing more than an hour. I'm doing 1.5 hours a day of learning Italian. And I listen to my podcasts in Italian, Italian news, Italian conversations for 40 minutes a day while I'm driving or doing the dishes. And then I study with my books for like, say, 20 minutes. And then I also practice speaking by, writing out my journal and stuff like that. And all these different activities combined is 2 hours, ideally. So if you want to study for 2 hours a day, say, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour, 1시간, on watching my favorite Korean drama. But I want it to be more active learning, so I'm going to turn off English subtitles or my native language subtitles, and then just use Korean subtitles or no subtitles. And if you don't understand enough, like it's also related to comprehensive input, but if you don't understand enough of what you're watching, even if it's in Korean, and even if it's a really, really fantastic drama, you will lose focus. You will pick up your phone and scroll on your phone. That's a clear signal that you should turn off that show and then move on to another kind of activity. Okay, now maybe doing that is too challenging. Put on the Korean subtitles. If it's still too challenging, okay, watching dramas for learning Korean is not going to be for you right now. Open a book, open a course. So fill up that 1 hour, those 2 hours, and then it's it. That's it. Like really, really simply, that's how you will learn any language in the world, and especially with the help of AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, you can ask simple questions and get instant answers. AI won't give you guidance as to like what you need to do today and how you will progress nicely. It'll, if anything, it'll give you too much optimism, but as of right now, but it'll actually at least help solve many questions. So I've sped through many things, but this is the summary. This is 요약. And let me go over this summary portion and answer some of your specific questions. I'm sorry that I didn't get to answer many questions because I wanted to stick to the topic of the day, but here is the summary. Confidence is the starting point for fluency. You can screenshot this. Confidence has to come first, and then it comes from certainty of knowing these 4 things. Okay? If somebody speaks, I will understand. When I speak, other people will understand me. If I don't know a word, I can ask. If I don't know how to say something, I can ask. And I know where I am lacking, I know what to do. I'm going to experience this conversation, enjoy this interaction, go back home, look things up, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, anything. I will find a way to express the same idea better next time. And then I will understand that it's a process of going from stress, less stress, no stress. And I failed to mention earlier that just like in fitness or any kind of physical activity, sports, once a certain activity gives you no stress, it's also time to move on. For me, for example, what's a good example? Lifting a 5-kilogram dumbbell gives me no stress unless I repeat it 30 times, right? So it's time to move on to a 10-kilo dumbbell. For me, doing a simple handstand is no stress. It's not an exercise for me. So I have to do a handstand push-up or something like that. You have to understand that, okay, saying something like 오늘 바빠요, I am busy today in Korean, at first that itself is enough stress. 오늘 바빠요, right? And then 오늘, you keep saying 오늘 바빠요, 오늘 바빠요. Like, again, using the example of my Italian practice account, if you go to my personal Instagram, you will be able to find it. And then if you scroll down to day 1 of my daily practice, I say something like, thank you for watching, but it's like, grazie per aver guardato. Kind of like that, because I have to think and it's stress. But now it's so easy for me. Grazie per aver guardato, grazie per l'ascolto, something like that. It's no stress. You have to work toward that. And then these two are intertwined. You have to study because it's time to study. And then 5 hours. How or where will you spend your next 5 hours of learning Korean? And 5 hours is not a random number. It's considered to be a reasonable amount of time that you need to invest into Korean by many experts. And I mean, even if it's not a scientifically proven number, from my experience, you need at least 500 hours or more to become fluent. And if more, it's even better. Okay, so let's do some Q&A. 질문에 답변을 해보겠습니다. If you have no immediate questions, please tell me what you thought of this information today. What did you think about this live class? Okay. I just wanted to give you clarity. A lot of people maybe it's going to be a topic for another live class or another video in detail. But many people talk about AI, the fact that AI is making people think, oh, I don't need to learn a new language anymore. But I don't think it's really the case. If anything, with AI, I'm super excited to learn more languages even faster because it's so convenient to use in getting explanations or getting information or getting practice, like with our speaking app Seo. And yeah, the AI technology won't replace the joy of speaking to somebody in person without any device in between. I don't know what the future will be like in 20 years, 30 years from now, but still, it'll be pure joy. It is still pure joy to know that you know this language naturally yourself. Okay. Oh, thank you for your positive feedback. Yeah, again, how doesn't matter as much as how much time you spend. 다, 모든 것은. 얼마나 많은 시간을, if I can type. It really depends on how much time you spend. It was the same thing for everything I learned and sort of mastered. Breakdancing. I did breakdancing for 10 years. And my favorite movement is the 2000s, spinning on my hand here, palm, handstand. My favorite move. And it took me a whole year of practicing for 3 hours or more every single day on this hard concrete surface. Every single day, just spinning, and then my callus coming off, and it was like, scary and painful. And then eventually, after a whole year of training, I got one round. And then from there, I think this is an interesting analogy. From one spin, one rotation, from 0 rotation to 1 rotation, it took me a whole year. And from 1 rotation to, say, 4 or 5, like that, it took me just another full year. Because, it's kind of like going from beginner to intermediate, and then intermediate to super advanced, because if you have the foundation. All right. 좋아요. Okay. This question, I think I am totally unbiased. Does anybody know any good Korean workbooks and textbooks? Wink, wink. Please recommend good textbooks. You can definitely check out our books. We recently just published our 47th book, topic. But other than that, if you're looking for French-based books, I don't know. I don't know if there are many, but Document Korean books, I recommend them. 감사합니다. I also have joking. And 또 질문을 찾아볼게요. 잠시만요. 타니카님, thank you for being the #1 fan in this chat. Officially, you have the crown. Do you think I need to know each and every vocabulary word I encounter, even if it's not relevant to daily life? Is it okay to skip vocabulary? It is absolutely okay to skip vocabulary. If it's necessary, it'll come back to you. What's the... This is one of my favorite examples of vocabulary being, it's the fact that it's okay to skip. Do you know the Korean word for hinge? Hinge is like the connecting parts between your door and the wall or the door frame. Hinge, your laptop. Does anybody know? I'm waiting for somebody to think of it from memory. Hinge. It's actually 경첩. 경첩. Now you wanna know? Oh, charity. Hinge. Good guess. 경첩. So, you were reading a novel, say, in Korean, and then you encountered this word 경첩. Do you need to spend any time trying to memorize this word, or is it okay to skip it? I think it's absolutely okay to skip it, but the next time you have an experience with the hinge, like your door hinge, your laptop hinge, something's hinge is loose and you need to talk about it, and then you look it up and you see it once and you will remember it for the rest of your life. 경첩, 경첩, hinge. Something like that. So let the vocabulary come to you. Let all the information wash over you, and then the words, the necessary words will come back to you very naturally. This is one of my favorite lines in the Korean language. One of my favorite. And this was actually made famous by one author in Korea. 아는 만큼 보인다, written in a history book. You can only see as much as you know. 아는 만큼 보인다. You know something and you see it. You start looking into a certain car model, and then suddenly you start seeing it everywhere on the road. You start looking into a new phone or a camera, you suddenly see everybody holding that camera. Kind of like that. The Korean vocabulary works in the same way. Oh, this is a good one. And I saw a comment earlier. The fact that you like our podcast, thank you. So since this live class started at 7:30 a.m. in KST, you will have a new episode up on our podcast feed. So we revamped our podcast format, right? Recently, season 4. And on Spotify, in the analytics page, season 3 was doing okay, but then season 4, it went up. So it's a clear sign that a lot more people are listening. Does anybody have recommendations on podcasts? If you go to, especially Spotify, I think they're doing a good job of recommending more shows to listen to. So when I type "talk to me" in Korean, there's related like podcasts. So Didi's podcast is really good. There are, I think, more than 20 or 30 podcasts in Korean that you can listen to these days for Korean learners. Which bundle of books should I take as a beginner? I think you can just take the beginner bundle, which is 7 books, Hangul, and levels 1 to 3, textbooks and workbooks. Or you can just take the Hangul, the 3-book bundle, Hangul, level 1 workbook, level 1 textbook. And you can get all of our books on our store or on Amazon. All the links will be down below. And will we add more grammar courses above level 10? We won't make level 11, but we have news Korean. We have more advanced materials, but just not grammar courses, because level 10, like 10 levels of grammar is sufficient for learners, I think, for the vast majority of learners. Okay. How common is Saturi Korean dialect actually used? Okay. This is a good question as well from the same person. It is very common. But since Korea is geographically speaking, size-wise, it's a relatively small country. So even if you don't speak a regional dialect, specifically just because, I mean, even if you live there, it's okay. You can just speak the standard Korean and everybody will understand you. You will have no real issues other than in some parts of, say, Jeju Island or some parts of the country. Yeah, it is common. My hometown is Gwangju, down south. It's one of the six major cities in Korea, and I grew up speaking the Gwangju dialect. And I also grew up hearing the Busan dialect because all my relatives from my mother's side are there. And I also heard standard Korean Seoul dialect on TV. So I grew up speaking, or not speaking, but distinguishing these three dialects. But I think, the dialects are becoming weaker and weaker. Oh, this is a good question as well. Thank you for your questions. I used to do full live classes just doing Q&As before, right? I mean, those are good, but we stopped doing that because sometimes it's better to have structure like the one that we did today. So now we just add Q&A at the end of the live classes. So is it just me, or sometimes you know each word of a sentence but still can't grasp the full meaning? And this is also very common, and it's mainly because there's idiomatic usage, or the sentence structure isn't as simplistic as you think it is, as you thought it was. And how do you solve it? It's mainly solved through more reading. Read more, listen more, and then eventually it'll come back to you. Oh, okay, that's what it means. Yeah. It's mainly because this simple word here and this simple word here are working together secretly, invisibly, under the table to form a new word. I don't know if I can think of a really good example of that. Like, all the words, but it's not, for example, off the top of my head, this one sentence. And you know what? I'm going to just answer this question for today and call it a day and come back next week with another really interesting topic. Maybe, because I have to go to do something else. But thank you for your questions. I'm sorry if I don't, if I missed any major important question. You can ask us on other social media or next time. Here's a good example of you knowing all the words. Not that Tanika님, you don't know this. 좀 is a little bit. 있다 is to be, to have. 보이다 is to be seen. You're like, okay, I know all the words, but what does it mean? It's like, so it actually translates to something like, you look confident. You look rich. You look professional. You look badass. So, yeah, it's a good example of you knowing all the words, but not like grasping the full meaning, because 좀 is, of course, easy, a little bit. 있어 보여요. Like, you seem like you have, but what do you seem like you have? You seem like 좀 돈이 있어 보여요. 힘이 있어 보여요. Money or power. 좀 usually those two. 좀 있어 보여요. The opposite would be 없어 보여요. You don't look professional. You don't look, this is not professional. You don't look, you look bad, or in attire, style, or confidence level, something like that. Like, I'll have to think more about the best translation for this, but 좀 있어 보여. Oh, 있어 보여요. You look badass. Something like that. 네, 그래서 this and this are 있다 and 보이다 are working together to form an idiomatic usage. So let me just scroll back to today's summary and finish today's live class. Yeah, you look cheap is good translation of 없어 보여요. The special guest, thank you for remembering, is apparently still sleeping because it's my son. He saw me preparing for this live class yesterday, typing the text that you see here, like everything in this document. And he saw it, he was like, "Dad, what are you doing?" I'm preparing a class for tomorrow. What's the class about? It's about confidence. And so he asked if he could be a part of it. And then he prepared a little speech. 좀 준비했어요. He prepared something to say about speaking confidently. But then his sleepiness won over his confidence. Maybe he's delivering that speech in his sleep. Let me actually check the camera in the kids' room if it's still sleeping. Will you bear with me? 카메라가 있는데 자고 있는지 한번 볼게요. 자고 있는 것 같아요. Yeah. Come on, camera. Retrieve. Yeah, he's sleeping. Wow, he's really, really deeply in sleep. There's no way I'm waking him up. 네, 다음 시간에 초대할게요. Yeah, he prepared a beautiful speech. Just believe it, okay? Just imagine it. The most beautiful speech in the whole world, which will motivate you for the next 30 years, and you will have Korean permanent residency because of it, and you will buy a house in Korea because of this beautiful speech, and yeah, everything. You will become the most successful Korean learner thanks to this beautiful speech that you just heard, right? Okay. 그럼 다음 시간에 만나요. 감사합니다. Thank you. Have a great day.